So I wanted to give this episode a little bit of context before just letting it roll. There are a lot of issues with this episode, honestly. Like the way that I structured it, the way that I shot it. I, being the one who made it, of course, I'm going to find a lot of issues with it post recording. But this whole thing was really rushed, honestly, and it was kind of not a bad way. It was a kind of leap of faith moment for me. Just I was in a bit of a dark time and I was like, I'm gonna do this podcast. This is the second podcast that I've done. I was like 150 episodes deep in another podcast that was picking up steam, blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter, but I've had this kind of weird relationship with podcasting after not podcasting for the past couple of years, and I've been wanting to get back into it amidst a lot of personal and professional creative blocks. So when my buddy Alex was in town, who's the guest on the show, I just kind of threw everything together. I was like, let's just make it happen. It's okay if it's imperfect. Let's just go. And I think that's a really important thing for me, for anybody else as well. Like, you can't really wait for the perfect circumstances, and even when you do have good circumstances, you're still probably going to, at least on your first few tries, and that's okay. I really struggled with things not turning out the way that I wanted them to turn out in terms of specifically the video aspect of things. I'd shot one of the angles vertically on my phone, which is incredibly frustrating for me. It's still in HD, which is cool, so I could save it, I could crop in and make it work. I did some split screen stuff, which you'll see, but it wasn't ideal, but I'm okay with that, and I realized I just need to put it out. It was a really great conversation. The conversation itself is a little bit goofy. I hadn't seen Alex since I had met him in Nicaragua, and we'd only spent like a week or so together. And the first 15 minutes or so was admittedly just like a lot of surf bro-y stuff for like 15-20 minutes. After that, we do really start to pick up the conversation in the original direction that I kind of wanted to take things, that in a way that it really does start to, I guess, exemplify the purpose of the show and the vision that I set out to make. So it is a really great conversation. I'm proud of it, but it was definitely goofy. I was definitely nervous. I think I say like every other word, which is super frustrating for me. Probably would swear more than I need to. I think I do that anyways, but just the nerves, I think, played a big factor in it, and that's okay, you know. I'm still obviously putting it out now. I've been sitting on it for about 8 months or so. And yeah, I'm really stoked with actually being able to stitch it together and make it happen. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to. I wasn't really good with video editing in the ways that I needed to be. But I made it happen, and I'm pretty happy with the results. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. I hope you find it relatable. I hope it helps you cope with life in whatever ways are relevant for you. Hopefully maybe it just inspires you to have better conversations. And let me know what you think down below, and maybe share with a friend. If you believe in this vision and you want me to keep these things coming, let me know. I'm going to do it regardless, and I'm investing a bunch of time and money to do it, so the support would be hugely appreciated. Thank you just for even making it this far. So with that being said, here is my interview, Cope episode 1, with Alex Idris. Also, I almost forgot to mention, I really stand on the goofiness of this podcast because everything else around it was so perfect. The timing of me and Alex meeting up, being in the Outer Banks at the same time, a whole lot of other weird stuff. But the weirdest thing was the next morning when Alex and I woke up and went to go get breakfast before he left, we saw a truck that just slammed on its brakes in front of us, and we're like, what the fuck? And we look at the license plate of the truck, and it just says podcast. Like, just the weirdest things. And like, there were a bunch of other weird things around it, but I just wanted to mention that. I don't know if you care, but for me, stuff like that just, I don't know, kind of geeks me out. So anyways, on with the show. All right.
Should I rip some?
Maybe. I
You want to? I'm gonna do like half of one.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rip some. It's really, and then these are the same, but they're they just hit so much harder.
Alright.
So, did you read the instructions?
Do it 10 times and then park it.
Yeah.
the beers.
Cheers to the beers. All right, so welcome, Alex, to Cope Podcast. So this is like probably the maybe second, third, like very, very early into the show that I'll be releasing any of this. And I really do think that like you're the perfect dude to have on the intro of the show. Like, so I'm so stoked that you're just like here at this time. I'm in the Outer Banks. I'm living in my tiny home. I'm in like a little foray into like first just trying out this fucking project that I've been working on for like a year and a half of this cargo trailer tiny home or whatever. And I came out to the Outer Banks just to kind of like take some time to myself, and like we'll talk about that or whatever, like what the fuck I'm doing with my life. But yeah, I've been out here just like pretty much solo for the last 2 months, and you just randomly decided to fucking drive up from Florida, right? And come up here to surf with your buddy Frankie, and you've been hunting waves for the last 2 days for this little movement that's been coming through the ocean for, the last 2 days, and I have been too. And yeah, I'm super stoked that we've been able to meet up. We've been like just trying to not talk to each other for the past like an hour or so, but just like save it for the podcast. But anyways, man, welcome to the show. Alex, what's your last name?
Thanks a lot, man. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Alex Idris. I drove up from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And yeah, drove up in a day, checked out the Crystal Coast, surfed there sort of halfway through my drive, well, a little more than halfway. And
Where'd
then,
you surf at?
It was north of Surf City. I'd surfed there before.
Topsail?
Yeah, it was Topsail.
Topsail?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was Topsail, and it sucked. It was shitty.
It has its moments, but a lot of times those south-facing beaches are weird.
Yeah,
sure.
it was kind of strange. I was trying to play the wind because it was a north wind.
Yeah.
Outer Banks was completely blown out, so I figured I'll give it a shot. It's on my way, and I got wet, sort of shook off the cobwebs from driving, and I actually hadn't surfed in a while, so it was good to just sort of like immerse myself and sort of get more locked in. Yeah. And then I've been chasing waves the last few days and made the most of it. Now we're here.
So I guess just like some backstory on like you and like why it's just like kind of perfect that we're having this conversation. So I met you in Nicaragua. I hate rolling the R on that because you sound like a douchebag. Nicaragua. Anyways, I met you in Nica when we were young in August, right? It was August, and super random. We were at Playa Santana, and we were both like, we didn't even know that we were like kind of neighbors. Like you ended up staying like right around the corner from me and my buddy Chase. Shouts out Chase wherever you're at. But yeah, you were just out at the same little sandbar chasing barrels, and you were getting many more barrels than Chase and I were getting. I was getting worked. I think I got a concussion that day, and you broke a board, and that's when we met. Like you had just like came back out after you broke a board and like kind of redeemed yourself, right?
Yeah. I think that was one of those random days that it was sort of. It wasn't small, but it was not one of those mega wash through swells.
It was heavy.
So it was like it was not small, but it was rolling in and actually not washing through at Santana. So it was actually dumping barrels, and it was so fun. And yeah, I remember seeing you guys out there. I hadn't said hey.
We didn't talk at all.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys.
Saw you on the water, and
we
just
were
that
surfing.
dude head nod of like, hey,
yeah, it's the classic surfer like.
Yeah.
The silent greeting.
Like might have to burn this guy, so like we probably shouldn't talk.
We can't get too close.
But we can be friendly.
But anyways, went down there, and there was like some photogs and guys on the beach, and like it was kind of going off, and we had our secret little river mouth wave, but I wanted to sort of just like see what else was happening, and I went on this left, way too deep, and I actually got a photo of it.
You did?
But of the wave that snapped.
Where were you at? Were you down at like first break?
It was first. It wasn't first. It was just like the main like.
Yeah, that main actual proper Santana. Because like where we were technically, it was like the estuary or whatever the fuck. All the
it was
called it the estuary.
Where the estuary breaks into the ocean, like a little river mouth, and that was a cool little like chill spot because it was like there weren't really any locals that surfed there, but
we had it to ourselves. It was just
it was like all the sort of kids from I guess the States that were staying there.
Which I didn't even know at the time either. It just was like, oh, you guys are from America.
It's so easy to make friends there. Like,
it was a weird situation we were in because like, and you didn't even know those boys either, right?
So I didn't know them, but we had mutual friends because they were from Jax.
Okay, yeah. So it was crazy for me and Chase to just like stumble upon like all these dudes from Florida. Like what? Like wow, that's awesome. But
yeah, all the fucking dudes down there were like super fucking cool, and it was just cool to run into you guys. And we fucking talked, and you're like, oh, I actually just, we were talking about getting work, and you're like, I actually just broke a board, and that like made me feel way better about like my circumstance. So yeah, we linked up, and I think Chase had been recording. We're like, dude, we got footage of you, and you're like, oh, cool. So like, he came back to the house later and linked up, and that's when we actually like broke through the weird guy surf barrier of like, okay, this dude's cool. We like hung out, tried to get you some footage. MacBook was not having it. It was struggling.
My MacBook almost started to burst into flames, but
Just
I actually
smoking.
still have that shit on my hard, or I might have just deleted it, but I had it on there for a while, and it would not even like process it. It was like jumping because it was just too much.
I ended up learning that we were being stupid, and what you needed to do was encode it. First of all, we should have broken it up. Right? It was
Yeah.
It was 2 hours of fucking 4K footage, which is like crazy. But my MacBook, like, you had like a 2013, I have a 2015. Mine can't handle any of the 4K footage at all, so you have to encode it to Apple ProRes or a lower format or whatever, just something that I can handle. But I actually just put it on my phone, and my phone handles it better than anything. But anyways, yeah, we were doing it the complete wrong way. We're just trying to drop it straight into your fucking MacBook and play it, and we're like, well, I want to fucking play.
Dude, it was not liking what it was getting. It took up most of my memory, and then everything after that has been so slow.
Yeah.
I had to delete it.
Yeah, it wasn't
I
good.
got a
You
couple
some
like
good- you got
screenshots. Yeah, I got.
I remember that. You put it on the gram, and you're like, dude, can totally go barrel.
Yeah, I posted a picture of me getting. It was like sick barrel, but I didn't make it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
whatever.
It was good times, but yeah. So I don't know. We were just became like light residential friends of the neighborhood. Shouts out Coconut Grove, and what was her name?
Susan, right?
Susan. Yeah. Shouts out to Susan. Shouts out to fucking Cam running Dogtown down there. If you're ever in Playa Santana, Nicaragua, hit up Dogtown. Great people, great
The
vibes.
boys.
Boys. Some of them are still out there catching barrels every day. Gotta go back. We gotta go back. But anyways, yeah, so like we just kind of hit it off, and we just all started catching some waves together. Really, we're like, okay, we're fucking friends now. And we all took some mushroom chocolates and decided to go surf Mag Rock at sunset. And that was like glorious core fucking memory of like the whole trip.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was cool because we were with the other guys, and they were kind of chilling in their bungalow area. I think they were like making dinner or something.
They were kind of deep. They like had like a very deep little group.
They did. They had their own sort of vibe going, and we, they're all homies. And
Yeah, they're all good
they're
guys.
great guys, and but I just started talking to you guys, and we were doing our sort of separate thing, and like, hey, let's take these mushrooms, and we all kind of were like, yeah, okay, we got nothing else to do.
Shouts out.
The homie, don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah, just mysterious.
No one knows who he is.
Mm-mm.
That's not even his real name. Anyways, fire chocolates, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the three of us took them, and then we started coming up a little bit, and we're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, so we took the truck down.
So we took
drove
the
truck
truck
on the beach, 4x4 to fucking Mag
Yep.
Rock.
Started ripping and got to Mag Rock, and there was a little wave, and we were out there, and it was the craziest sunset. And we were like,
Oh my god, yeah, it was
kind of
like,
tripping, like relearning to surf.
didn't know how to, not even like kind of like just you went first, like, because you paddled out first. I was behind you, then Chase was behind me. You were the first one to go for a wave, and you just like did some goofy shit. And you were like, because like that like thing that like we as dudes get into, especially when you don't really know the dudes that you're with. You're like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna perform. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fucking like rip a sick air, and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna show these guys what I'm about. And you go and you like kook it up, and you're like, you're just like swearing to yourself, like no, you hit Chase.
Oh,
Did
that's
you
what
hit
it was.
Chase or me?
I went over a wave. It was like 1 foot out there. Like
It was.
I mean,
it was
bigger-
decent. It was like
I say 1
stomach
foot.
chest high.
It was 1 foot
decent.
Hawaiian. Like,
Yeah,
it was
1 foot Hawaii.
It was like solid
It was
1
1 foot Bratica's. Yeah.
Yeah, like in Florida we would have called it 3 foot.
Yeah. In
And,
South Carolina, we would call it head high.
4 foot. Yeah, like depends where you are.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is another thing to get into. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I fucking cooked it. I went over the falls and like did kind of a cartwheel, and I didn't realize 'cause it was kind of dark and hazy, and like Chase was right there, and I was like, oh no, maybe it was you. I don't know.
I don't know who it was.
And the
lost.
shroom talk was starting to hit my brain, and I was like,
because we were still early, so you're
Yeah.
still anxious.
I was like, dude, like,
Yeah.
Like, did I just fucking hurt this kid? Like,
Like,
what
I'm
is
so
going on?
sorry. I just met these
Yeah,
guys.
I'm like, did I just
fuck.
blow it? And then we all started laughing and got more waves and finally started actually surfing a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. You were like, dude, I like don't know how to surf right now, and I was like, it's cool, dude. Watch it. And I did the same shit, and I just goofed up completely, and I was like, fuck, dude, like I can't surf right now. I feel like that's a part of the experience. You kind of like break. You have all the fear and insecurity come up, and then you get to laugh at that because like the giggles come on, and then it's just like a good time. So we all started ripping and like having fun, and we were like, oh my god, and it was just like really beautiful appreciation of like relearning and like reappreciating surf, because the first time that you, after like missing a bunch of waves and like feeling really goofy, the first time, because you're on fucking mushrooms, that you catch a wave and you start going down the line, you're like, it was the most pure experience. It was like learning how to surf again. Like it really was, because it was just like, I'm fucking like standing on the water, right? It was just this like childish joy, and that kind of like set the tone for the rest of the session. So we ended up having this like just beautiful fucking sunset session until it was like super dark, which is funny because we just talked about this like 4 days ago too, like on the DMs and Instagram. I was like, dude, it was your birthday like a week ago, right? Yeah. How old you turn?
I turned 26.
Dude, I just turned 26 too, bro.
Yeah, dude.
It's a weird age.
It's weird being this old. I don't feel any different, but
26, dude. It's a weird time. But anyways, I hit you up and talked about that. But
dude, remember the psycho like lightning storm or
Yeah.
rainstorm?
yeah, it was insane.
So we got out of the water. Did it start raining before or after?
We saw it like wrapping in, because we had this like
Oh.
really gold like bloody like sunset, and then we just see this like darkness like swooping in, and it was like kind of fun. Like we're on like some like Lost Boys like 80s vampire boy shit. We all were just like belly riding in, like screaming with laughter, like whoa, just like fucking yelling, and like everybody's like looking down from the apartments above, like what the fuck are these kids doing with this giant storm coming?
It was
in?
like Lord of the Flies vibes almost.
It
Like, we
was,
were just
dude.
yelling at the sky,
like pure boyish
laughing and
joy.
screaming, and like the wind was whipping around the corner of Magrock Cliff. It's this big like 100-foot cliff. Maybe that's over. I don't know. How big is it?
No, I don't know. I mean, probably
Maybe
it's
100 feet?
it's a giant face.
Big cliff, and like the wind once you came around the corner started just
Oh my
pelting
God,
us
dude.
with rain.
We walked. It was instant. Like we
Yeah.
walked around the corner and we're like, oh okay, typhoon.
Man, that was, aside from the surfing, I mean, that was one of the best memories. Just like nature, we just experienced the most beautiful thing in nature:
Mhm.
sunset, surfing, friendship. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was awesome.
Very
all the
pure.
cliches,
Yeah.
and
Super
then nature's
pure.
just like, "Ha, bitch,"
yeah,
like,
just
you're-
smacks us, and we're struggling with our fucking boards to like keep them down, and we have to like climb this. We have to climb the side of this cliff or whatever, and it's like I don't know. It's long, dude. It's like a 200-300 yard staircase. It's like it was a hike, but
It's all.
yeah. What did we do after?
We got some beers and
Yeah,
we
we
were
did.
playing weird music and we got out of there.
Yeah. Oh, we did. We went into Magrock Cafe. If
Yeah.
you've ever been to Magrock, anybody, like, the Magrock Cafe. And we went to the bottom part, which is like a club, and they were playing like, whatever disco. I mean, I don't know what genre of
It
music
was
is
like
that?
poorly remixed discotheque.
Yeah, it was Bad Bunny. They're playing Bad Bunny,
Yeah.
and we walk in there, and we're just all like trying to hold it together. We're completely soaked, and there's like, people are not on our vibe at all. Like, there's dudes there, like probably like hitting bumps, like trying to get laid, and like we're in the corner just being weird, like looking for our wallet, and yeah. So, anyways, it was a good night. What? You're feeling it out?
I didn't realize how long Mark's neck is.
Gorgeous are.
Yeah, I was watching it from like the horizontal or whatever.
Yeah. And that's how I met Alex. And then after that night, we were like, okay, we're fucking friends now. It's cool, like, that an experience like that. It's cool just to have those experiences that just like kind of humble you and like remind you of just like the simple beauty of life. Because that whole, that moment of that trip where we met too, like, it was very aggressive, surfy. Like, I don't know. It kind of like, I don't know. It was very pure and like laid back still, because it was in Nika and it wasn't anything crazy. But like the spot we were at was intense, and the dudes we were with were intense. Like, everybody was like kind of throwing down. So it was just like sort of just like it broke the veil of like seriousness, and it just like allowed us to have this like really chill, laid back experience of like, okay, cool. Like, we're all just dudes here, and yeah, I mean, that's a great way to meet somebody for sure. But yeah, so that's basically how I met Alex, and I think we only that was like the second time that we'd hung out, and then I maybe saw you one more time after that, and we parted ways because that's the backpacking life kind of. And you headed to Santa Teresa with your girl, right?
Yep.
Or where'd you go next?
Yeah, I went to Santa Teresa, and she flew in to Liberia Airport in Costa, and
That's where I had just flown my girlfriend out of, ironically.
yeah, it's a good hub. It's not too expensive.
San
And I
Jose,
met her,
dude.
dude. It was like perfectly planned.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got on like a chicken bus, like a $3 bus for like 2.5 hours. Get
From
off
where?
from the border of Nicaragua to Liberia, and then I took a taxi to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
She literally lands and like texts me right as I'm pulling up, and she's like, "I just landed. Like I'll be out in a second." It's perfect timing.
So smooth. My border crossings were all like dog. Did we tell you about that? Getting into
Oh
Nika?
yeah,
Yeah.
the taxi situation.
Yeah. Different story. I'll have to like solo cast on that one. But me and Chase almost got like kidnapped and sex trafficked apparently, and that sounds dramatic, but that's what the locals told us that we were like stumbling into, which is there's always like a roll of the dice when you're like going through third world countries, but we fucked up, crossed the border at night, not supposed to do that, and yeah, it was just a bad situation. But I'm glad your travels went smooth.
Daytime.
Yeah.
Daytime.
We got there and they're like, "There's no buses." We're like, "What do you mean? We're here to catch the bus." They're like, "There's no bus. You gotta go find somebody to drive you." We're like,
Damn.
"Okay, we'll go do that." But yeah, so you went to Santa Teresa. How's Santa Teresa, by the way? Because I haven't seen you or talked to you since then, really.
Yeah, dude. It was kind of a quick. I mean, it was a week. It's cool. I love Costa Rica. Like Costa Rica was like one of the first places I went out of the country on my own in high school, and like I always wanted to go back, etc. Had been back before that year too, and it's cool, but it wasn't. Santa Teresa is very like loud and touristy, and there's sort
It's
of
a lot from what I've seen.
yeah. There's one road that sort of runs along the coast.
It's like what Tamarindo used to be, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
and like the mountains basically inhibit any other like expansion of the from the road, so it's kind of like this
packed
big
in.
hill, then businesses and houses, and then the road, and then the beach. So it's like very tight. You can barely even ride a bike down the road.
Really?
It's yeah. So I mean, other than that, it's great. I mean,
How are the waves? Good.
the
Decent.
waves were good. I was spoiled from Nicaragua though.
Dude, Nika fucks you up.
Yeah.
I had a hard time coming back to, because after that I went to Oak Island, North Carolina, and it was like trying to surf Wrightsville, and Wrightsville was going through this weird thing where like all their sandbars were just really pushed up next to shore. So there's like 200 fucking dudes right on fucking shore, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to go out. And everybody's like,
Yeah.
why aren't you going out? It's pumping. I'm like, dude, you don't understand like where I just was. Like super jaded, and I like know I'm being a douchebag, but I'm like, I'm not paddling out.
It's so funny. Like before I had ever been on a real surf trip, which was early 2021 to Puerto Rico was my first one, and like my friend had come back from one, and I was still surfing Jack's Beach and getting like psyched on like 1 foot, 2 foot slop because I was kind of newer to surfing, and I was just super amped to surf everything. And it was like pretty good, like you said, and he was like, "Nah, dude, like." I think he had actually just come back from the boom.
Yeah, so
Nicaragua.
that'll
And
do that.
He was just like,
Same
for like
thing.
2 weeks, he was like, "No, I'm not surfing that."
Yeah.
And then finally,
That's
he's like,
weird.
"All right, forget it."
Yeah, it's like kind of like ignorance is bliss. Like, and they say too, like, shouts out Cam Richards and Luke Gordon. Like, those are the homies from the hometown, and like they say like East Coast surfers like tend to make the best surfers because like we have this like fight and appreciation for like anything in the water because we're used to fighting for slop. So like when you do get a chance to get on good waves, like you have this like drive to get in and like just paddle harder and like make the most out of like trash, like more than like somebody say like growing up at like in trestles or whatever, like as your fucking home break, like you just don't have the same perception. But yeah, that again, I would definitely say ignorance is bliss because it definitely ruined my fucking winter of surfing the East Coast when I came home.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the equivalent of if someone grows up at Breckenridge and then, they go skiing in
Snowshoe or
fucking
something.
Snowshoe. I mean, Snowshoe is probably the best of the East Coast.
I haven't been to Snowshoe, but
I go to Maggie Valley or
what's the other one? Sugar
Sugar Mountain, Beach Mountain. Like,
yeah,
those are fun and all, but
they're groomed, right? They're all
Yeah. I mean, there's barely snow under the lifts. There's like leaves.
yeah.
So to anyone that doesn't surf, it's sort of the same.
Yeah, and you grow up in Colorado, and you're like, what is this? Yeah.
But being spoiled by surfing is so real. But that's the thing that's so beautiful about surfing is like, you go long enough without surfing, you'll surf anything, and you'll be stoked on it. Like,
Yeah, and that's the opposite side of the coin. Because, like, I mean, you had taken a break off of surfing even now, and me too. And, like, I was just happy to be in the water.
yeah,
Like, a lot of people here, like I guess for East Coast, like you kind of get spoiled being in the Outer Banks. So a lot of the dudes here are kind of like spoiled off like some of the fucking crazy shit that they get handed
Yep.
here, and they're just like, no, it's not good. I'm like, I'm going out, dude, like for sure. And like me and you have been doing that for the past couple of days, just like still getting out there, still fighting for shit. So
Yeah, I'm bummed we didn't link up, but it's it's kind
for
of
waves,
Yeah, it was
that
kind
was
of fun,
good.
though.
No, it was cool. I honestly like am glad that you were down there though, so that I knew that it wasn't worth going. Which like selfishly, I would have loved to serve with you, of course, but
yeah.
like
you get the report. Yeah.
I was packed up, dude. Like, I mean, you can see the back of my truck. I still I have 2 stoves. Like, I have like I'm like ready to go like down south to fucking Frisco or whatever
Big
and link
camper
up.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you got some stuff still for sure. But I guess yeah, to bring the story kind of current. Alex drove up from I don't know if we even circled over that, but Alex drove up from Florida, and I've been in the Outer Banks for 2 months, and I've just been like not even 2 months. I guess like a month and a half, and I've just been like kind of hanging out here, and he just randomly was like, dude, I'm coming. Dude, let's fucking link. And we have not linked until right now. And I was like, dude, you want a podcast? Just like throwing a random seat out there, and you're like, dude, I'm keen to and I didn't think we were going to.
Yeah.
I kind of had let go of it because we hadn't seen each other. So I was like, I don't know if we will. I just kind of like let it go.
I think it's kind of best case scenario that we didn't, because this is we're just having a fucking conversation.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no, I think it's fucking great because we have like a lot to catch up on, a lot to talk about, and you're like all fucking tired and shit, and we were like, I was like, dude, you wanna hit the cold plunge real quick? So we both just cold plunged before this too, and it was a good time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll wake you up.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, it's good. Like fucking, it's another like weird like bonding thing too, like mushrooms though, because it's just like super uncomfy, and you're like,
Yeah.
we're in this, we're fucking doing it. But yeah, somebody's lurking outside of the garage.
Oh yeah, somebody's right there.
I don't know if you can. Hey, what's up? Podcasting. You want to come say hey to the people? Come hop in. You can hop in my
What's
camera.
going
real
on,
quick.
man?
This is Zach.
What's up, Alex?
It's the
Nice to
homie.
meet you, Alex. Nice to meet
It's a homie from Nika in Florida.
What's up, y'all? How we doing, y'all?
This is Zach. But yeah. All right, get the fuck out of here. I'll see you later, buddy. I'll see you in a bit. We'll chill for a minute. I guess to give some context to that whole thing. So I came to the Outer Banks to fucking, I don't know, man. I kind of just came to like get away. Like I don't know like how much of like my like fucking personal like rabbit hole we need to go into here, because I'll just probably need to like solo podcast about that, just because like I don't know, I've been going through this like weird time, but it's going through like a weird time with like content, like coaching, and just like everything that I'm doing with my life, as I'm sure you are also. Like being like turning 26 it's a weird thing, and yeah, I just like needed to spend some time. I've been in polys, which is like really weird for me, for 2 years. Like after like just living in the fucking in the bus and just like traveling super hard, I went to go like visit my ex, and I was like, I'm gonna stay for like maybe a month, maybe 2 months. I was there for 22 months.
Wow.
2 years. Yeah, super deep. So yeah, I don't know, I've just been in like one place for a long time, and I was kind of like, I'd sold my last tiny home project, built this other one, and I just like kind of needed to go on this maiden voyage. So came to the Outer Banks just to like kind of get away and just like reflect, just because like I put my coaching business down, and I put the content creation stuff down. I put the other podcast that I had that was like getting really successful down, because my fucking partner, collaborator, whatever, like, I'm not gonna speak ill of him, but he fell into some sort of a cult, I think. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird thing.
Heavy.
I know. He got like really obsessed with this book, and he's like, this is the book. This has all the answers. Everybody needs to read this book. And I was like, coming in strong, dude. I was like, coming in really strong. He's like, we need to get rid of everything that we've done. Like now, we're false prophets. So I was like, you're coming in really strong, dude.
That's an aggressive first take.
Yeah, we weren't like really doing. It was a health podcast. Like we were talking about nutrition and shit. And
Wow.
he's just like, I don't know. He got a bit overwhelmed, so we pulled that completely, and that's why we're going back at this podcast thing now. But anyways, yeah, like everything in my life that was like getting a lot of momentum halted completely. So I was like, let me just like get away, and just like, instead of just like what I was doing, like I started to come back to all the stuff that I was doing before in like January, right? Like right after Christmas. And I was like trying really hard to get back to it. Like that was like my whole thing. It was like, get back to it. Like you fucked up, you lost your momentum, you got to get back to it. And I realized like just 2 weeks ago that that's like fundamentally fucking flawed. Like you can't go back, you have to go forward. And what I was really doing was just like trying too hard to like, I don't know, just prove that I was still good enough to be a fucking coach, because that's such a weird thing. Like I don't have a template of like what that looks like. I don't have mentors. Like there's no guidelines for like how to create a business as a fucking health coach, like at all. So I don't know. I was like caught up in this weird thing for the last 2-3 months of just like this delusional self-image that I was trying to keep up. And then I just like scrapped everything, came here, and I've just been like alone for the past like month or so, I guess. And I was just like kind of hanging out. And then I was staying here because the people who run this house, this is a staff house for the adventure park. It's like a ropes course or whatever, like for like tourists. It's actually pretty intense, but you should come do it sometime. We'll fucking get you in there for free. But it's super fun. But they're just some homies that like I would come stay with them and stay at their house every once in a while, just because I knew some like mutual friends. And they were like, do you want to like just, you can keep staying here if you want to like help out at the adventure park or whatever for spring break. So I was like, cool. And I've been here for the last like 3 weeks working the adventure park, and I'm still ended up here. I'm stoked that you're fucking here too. So just kind of worked out. But anyways, like on that note, what has it been like for you? I guess just like in like kind of mirroring the same thing, like coming back from Nika. I think there's something to that too, like the heaviness of going through this like really blissful trip out of country and then coming back to your life. Like it kind of, I don't know, it kind of wipes things in a weird way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I kind of went into like I've been traveling for the last year. Like I had a corporate job. That's backstory, and
What were you doing?
I was doing construction management
Right,
for a pretty large company, and then
so you quit that and went to Nika?
I quit that, and then I went to Puerto Rico for 2 months and lived with a bunch of friends from college, and basically did that for cheap or very free.
Yeah.
Or almost free, very cheap.
Yeah.
I said that backwards, but yeah, that was great. And then went straight from there to Costa Rica for a month, and then came back to the States, and I was kind of like, all right, like I thought I was going to sort of figure out my whole life on this sort of surf trip, and it sort of just turned into like coming back and being like, oh man.
Like more confused?
Yeah, like more confused.
Isn't that fucking weird?
And then, yeah, so then I did that. I sort of worked over the summer, and then that's when I went to Nicaragua, and I was like, all right, I need to surf some real waves.
Yeah.
So that's when I met you. It was sort of like this second surf trip, and I went into that with less of the feeling of like, I'm going to figure everything out, but more for just like, I need like a mental health break. I need to like go enjoy myself, have fun, dive into life and do it.
Yeah.
And it was honestly like not having the stress or pressure of like, I need to be figuring out my life right now. I was just like fully in the moment, enjoying it. And I think that made that experience just like even more useful.
Yeah.
Because I learned how to like just like fully lean into like experiencing life and like meeting strangers, right? And just like fully immersing in that. But yeah, on the back end of it, it's kind of like this big sort of like dopamine crash almost, where you're like trying to figure out what direction you're going in.
Yeah. So that's like the whole like premise of this podcast, essentially. And this whole like kind of, I guess you can call it brand, but goddamn, that sounds fucking gross when you say it. I don't know, like I'm starting a brand. Like, all right, buddy, yeah, let's see. But it is a brand. It is like this sort of lifestyle brand that I'm trying to create. But this whole it's more than that. It's this like ethos that I've been playing around with for like 4 or 5 years, and it's called Cope. And it's just kind of, it's not what happens to you in life or like what you're trying to figure out in life. It's how you deal with life that defines your character and your well-being. And like I really find it interesting, this sort of link between like personal well-being and like doing cool shit, doing the things that you love, and that's actually your progressive path through life. That's actually what brings you closer to yourself. And it's not about figuring out, but like figuring in. And as you know, the difference between these sort of trips of like, I'm gonna go and like figure out my life and like who I fit into in this societal expectational template that's been handed to me and probably like subconsciously ingrained into me from my fucking parents or whatever. It's like this other trip is like, I'm just going to go and like do what I love doing. And that's actually what gives us more, because like you can't control what you need to be, or like you can't control your like how well you fit into the expectations of like societal pressures or whatever. All you can really control is like, are you doing the things that you love? Are you selling yourself short, or are you living in your truth? Are you living in alignment with the things that you love? And that sounds like that's kind of what that second trip was a little bit. You kind of let go of the expectations because we don't fucking know what we need. We just know what we love. That's kind of all we can follow, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's kind of heady, but
yeah, I mean, if you knew exactly what you need, then life would be too easy. You know, you got to kind of figure it out, and like,
yeah,
bad shit's gonna happen, good shit's gonna happen, but at least you have sort of, if you have something that you love that you can focus on, that's will clear your mind, and that's just pure good. It's enjoyment, but it's not just drinking or whatever. It's like good for you. Like
that's
surfing is good for
health,
you.
right? That's wellness.
Yeah, like that's when I'm almost my clearest, is like if I haven't surfed in a while, I can feel sort of this cloud sort of growing, and
just from like modern life.
From life, and like honestly, I don't know how people deal with it without surfing, because it's like once I found that, it's like there's no going back. But like, yeah, it's sort of a good surf session will clear your fucking brain, and you can maybe not right after you can think clearly, but you know, it sort of frees you from this sort of like overwhelming feeling of just life, and sort of washes all that away.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like, like fully diving into something you love is the best feeling, especially when it includes a killer workout and all of that. I mean,
it's almost like all that we really have that like means anything, right? Is like just, and that to me is cope. And like that's kind of like why I thought that this conversation with you would be so perfect, because like that's like really the friendships that I'm interested in. Like you kind of surround yourself with like whoever you're around, and those kind of become your friends. But like I'm far more interested by people that you meet out there doing things that they love, even if it's something completely different than you. And like for our instance, it wasn't. And it's really cool to just be able to connect. Like going to fucking Nika, like where we were, that's not an easy place to get to. Like we're out there and we're like hunting fucking the thing that we love. And that's, I think, like why all those dudes, like you just kind of have this like natural respect for all the other dudes that are out there, because we're all fucking in our 20s pursuing the thing that we love, you know? I think like surfing just like kind of carries that same mutual respect across it, just because it's like beyond like weird lineup aggression and like overcrowded spots or whatever, like there is this like mutual sort of like kinship over just like this love of the ocean and this appreciation of like doing this thing that makes me feel human again, just like getting out there, which is cool.
Yeah, and I think like to piggyback on that, like a lot of the weird aggression from surfing comes from like some disrespect of sort of what you were talking about, of that like mutual respect. Like if someone doesn't sort of mutually respect that, like, hey, we're all, the fact that you're out here in the first place is like a respectable thing.
You should be
like,
stoked.
Everyone should be, respectable.
Yeah. And you should want other people to get waves.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I kind of had that thought even just surfing like this week in the Outer Banks, is like, it's such a remote place, and yet there's so many people here that just are here just for surfing. And it's like, that speaks volumes to like, we're just out here to put on a fucking wetsuit and be cold, and put yourself in the moment, like to meet, I mean, it sounds so heady, but like you're putting yourself there in the moment to meet energy from the ocean, to like, dance with it essentially. It sounds so heady, but like also it's just like when you step back and look at the whole situation, it's like, what the hell is this surfing thing? And like, why are all these random people, one person's a plumber, one person's a doctor, one person's a health coach, one person is figuring out their life, and it's like we're all in the same place at the same spot, and it's like it's the coolest thing. Yeah,
dude, it's fucking beautiful. And like here too, like you really don't get those aggressive lineups too, which is cool, because you are in this remote place, because it is cold as shit, and because there's this like appreciation for the beauty of where you're at. Like, and I don't know, I mean, we could have a whole other conversation on like why lineups get aggressive, but that's not even really worth going into. But I guess just to sum it up, it's just like people being, they're keeping themselves away from the beauty of the experience, that like all that shit that you just said, like they're bringing their stuff from society. They need to surf to prove something. They're trying to prove something. They're trying to show something. They're trying to figure something out. They're trying, not even figure something out, but like they're just there to perform and like compete and like do tricks or whatever, like thrash and burn and like fucking just get up and fucking drop left and like pump as hard as you can, throw one big air. Just like, dude, you had 15 good seconds left on that fucking wave. You could have milked it a little bit more. Like, you could go for some length of ride every once in a while. Like, throw a few more liters in your fucking board and see if you can cruise on the twin fin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Twin fin is life.
Twin fin is life.
Dude, especially, like, I hate to rip on anybody's, style or whatever, but in Jacksonville, it'll be like small, and there's a lot of people that ride, like, they're hardcore, like, shortboard.
They're riding 26 liters.
Like, small boards meant for good waves.
Thrusters.
When it's small out, and just, like, working super hard, and, like,
working really
I feel
hard,
like, very, very hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a cheat code. I'm riding a twin fin.
Yeah.
Still a short, 5'6".
With like 5 more fucking liters,
Yeah.
And you're chilling, getting a little
And
bit
just
earlier.
having the best time of my life, and it's like,
yeah.
And I actually, when I was starting surfing, like, all my, all the people I was surfing with that were, and my friends were riding shortboards, and I was like, all right, that's where I need to ride. And then once I realized, like, okay, I'll ride that when it's good.
Yeah.
And like my relationship with surfing is pure, like, I don't know, it's just pure joy. Like, I just love everything about it. And riding a twin fin when it's smaller is like
insane.
Once I had that sort of, like you were saying, like, once I let go of that, like, try hard sort of, like, I need to prove myself and ride a certain board and do this and try to fit in and do this and that.
Yeah.
I was like, screw that. I'm going to ride the board that I have fun on. And honestly, surf better on when it's smaller too.
Yeah.
But like, that actually ties into life. Not everything's about surfing, but like, if you prepare yourself for the situation to have, I don't even know how it applies to life, but like, stop trying to impress other people or whatever. Just like, do what applies best for you, and like, you'll honestly cruise through way easier.
It's that thing of trying too hard, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing that I was going through. Like, my thing was like just like realizing that I like wasn't liking the content I was making. I was like, what are you trying so hard to do? And it's the same thing with like shortboarders. Dude, the classic shortboarder thing. And like, me and Chase are going through this thing we called it a fucking mid-length crisis. Because like, we're in South Carolina or whatever, and we're like, dude, fuck our 5-7 boards. Like, let's get some 7 foots. Let's just like go out there and have a fucking blast on the small days when nobody's going out. Like, we're just having the most fucking fun that like we didn't even know was available to us. And then like, I don't know, it kind of like broke the veil for us, where now like we're looking at shortboarders who like get up and they like miss a wave and they go fuck, and they like punch the water, and you're like, god damn, dude, you're stressed. Like, we're having a good time out here.
Dude,
like, what are you trying
actually,
so hard for?
I can tie into that for everything. So my buddy Frankie came down from Virginia Beach.
Shouts out Frankie.
From Norfolk. Shout out Frankie. Safe travels, Frankie. He's
Safe travels, buddy.
Driving right now. So he brought down a 6'9" twin pin. So
Cuca Pinto?
no, it's actually shaped by our buddy Cole Colassa.
Shouts out Cole, dude.
Shouts out Cole. He's been he's a friend from back in Florida, and he's
From Jax?
He lives in I met him through some surf friends in Jax, but he lives in Melbourne, I think.
Okay.
So
You gotta link me, dude. I'm gonna need a 7
man.
and
But
fucking...
he knows some good shapers, and he's friends with them, and
He is a shaper too, though?
he's a shaper, yeah.
Cool.
So he's our age, and
Cool.
good guy. But he shaped that board, and I guess the person he shaped it for didn't want it or something. I don't know. Something happened. So Frankie got it for a slight discount, I guess, at cost or whatever. I don't know. But so he let me ride it, and on the smaller days today, and last night as well, when it was kind of smaller where we were. And dude, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
And like, it was like getting into waves 2 seconds earlier than I would have.
Yeah, like 10 feet back.
I was just grinning ear to ear.
Yeah, dude.
And the waves were small, and I came up here sort of with like an expectation of like, oh, it's going to be pumping. I'm going to get super barreled.
Yeah.
And the first day it was, it had size, and it was still really fun the other days, but I was able to sort of lean into just like the fun of it and the experience. And like, I was looking around, there's no one around. It's beautiful. There's birds. And like that whole realization in life, like honestly, 2 years ago, if I had been in that same spot, I would have been like,
pissed.
damn it. Like,
Yeah.
like this is bullshit. And I just kept telling myself, I'm like, I put myself here for a reason, like to enjoy this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that board is like So fun.
I'm fucking sure, dude. I can imagine. I'm gonna pause. All right, back into it from a quick piss break. But
Live.
dude, fuck. Okay, so I was gonna say like that whole experience that you're talking about, like this mid-length crisis, that is the same experience that we were talking about with like taking the psilocybin and getting out there and just like getting rid of these like preconceived notions and expectations and narratives of like I need to go and do this specific thing. It's like if you just shut the fuck up and like listen to what life is presenting you, there's a lot of beautiful stuff out there. And a lot of it is this like comparison stuff. And we got up to piss and you're like, we just mentioned Frankie's name. And I was like, he fucking heard something on the wind. He texted you. And what'd he say?
Yeah, so I went and checked my phone real quick, and I was like, oh, Frankie texted me. Literally, no context, nothing. It just says, comparison is the thief of joy. We scored.
Shouts out, Frankie. Frankie, we wish you were here, buddy. We got a mic for you next time.
Beautifully said. And honestly, if we were being like, kind of like, I don't know, judgmental, I guess, of the surf, like, it would have been easy to be like, oh shit, it's not, it's not head high, it's not whatever, like, but we went out there, we had a fucking blast, and we, rode the more fun. We rode the fun boards
Yeah.
and got some little barrels, did some turns, and had a blast. And like, that's so applicable to life. It sounds so cheesy, but it's like, it's so true. Just get out there and put yourself in the moment, put yourself in the situation, and something good's probably gonna happen. So,
dude, yeah, and like think about too those moments where you're just like watching the cams or you're like looking at Surfline or whatever, and like Brandon, dude who lives next to me right now, works for Surfline. He runs all of the fucking cams on the East Coast and the Caribbean. He's like super tapped in, and he's got a great boardroom. Great fucking guy. Shouts out Brandon. I'm gonna podcast with him soon. Maybe next. I get here and I'm like, you work for Surfline. Like, do you see what Surfline is saying? I'm like, oh, the waves look like they suck. Like it's like 7 days of just like nothing. He's like, just go check. You got to get out there, dude. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah, like that's it. Like we kind of just project too much and like we use our head a little bit too much and not enough of our heart. And it's not that our head doesn't have a place in it. It's not that like mental stuff and like logic doesn't play a part, but like there seems to be this thing like where we've kind of like lost touch with just like feeling into life and like being present and like being in the moment and just like kind of shutting the fuck up and just like listening more. Like I broke my ankle because of a moment like that, and for the last like 2-3 years since that happened, that's like been a huge like motto for me. It's just like shut the fuck up and just listen, dude, because like I had a clear inkling that I like shouldn't go do what I was about to go do. I was skating, I was warming up, and I hadn't skated in like a year and whatever. Like I was doing my own thing and I was fine, and then some fucking dude show up. It's like their local park, and they go in the bowl and then they like start throwing down or whatever. It's like a 12-foot concrete bowl, and they like go throw down and they do the fucking head nod, arms crossed, like what's up, it's you, dude. Like he did an air, crossed his arms and was like, what you got? I was like, I'll fucking show you what I got. Compound fracture, bone sticking out of my leg. Like
what's it on the how'd you do it?
I fucking went to go do like a little like revert, like 5-0. Like I'm not gonna get all fucking nerdy with the technology, but I went to go do like basically like a revert. Went up to like spin and like do like a backside grind, and I hadn't skated that board before, and never in my life have I had a board pre-assembled for me ever. You're not supposed to do that. I got it from like fucking warehouse skates. Got it pre-assembled for me. I hadn't skated in a year. I was warming up and I was having a beer and I kicked my board off and I like hit a kid. And I was already feeling goofy. I was like, fuck, like I feel weird. And I was just chilling. I was doing my thing. And then I got ego got incited by these fucking dudes. I was like, I'll show you what's up. Like I fucking throw down. I went to fucking Woodward. I fucking win competitions. I'll show you what's up. Because I used to be a really competitive skater. Like that was my thing when I was young. I was like, I'm going to be a pro skater.
That's
and sick. Kind of it fucked my head up. Same thing with surfing though. And I went and I fucking rolled my ankle backwards. And my fucking whatever, I think my femur was sticking out of my fucking leg. Like it was disgusting. Like a kid threw up. Like it was fucking insane. And it was just like this crazy humbling, like 3 months of my life. I was on bed rest for 2 months. I had to relearn how to walk. It was insane. So that was like, since then I'm just like, shut the fuck up. And
you
like,
know it's
listen.
bad when somebody looks at you and throws up.
Pukes, yeah. And I'm just trying to stay calm. All the kids are like, holy shit, dude, get this on video. I'm like, get out of here, dude. Like I'm
Why are you filming me?
trying to breathe right now. One guy, shouts out to fucking I think his name is Joseph. Shouts out Joseph in San Antonio. He came down. He's like, "Hey man, fuck all that. You good?" And he dapped me up. He's like, "You need anything?" And he like brought me a fucking bowl of weed. I don't even really smoke like that, but he's like, "Here's a bowl. Like, you need to hit this. Like, you do anything? Like, just let me know. I'm right here." He's great. That was a fucked up period of my life, but anyways, yeah. I digress. I think that there's like so much. There's this great saying that kind of like sums it up, and it's that there's so much more. We usually have so much more freedom than we're often aware of. Usually have more freedom than we're often aware of, and that's like it speaks to this like undercurrent of like joy and like love and beauty that's available to us in the present moment, but we're usually too caught up in some preconceived notion of like what life should be or what I should be doing or like where I should be at or like I'm 26 now. What am I do? Like all that shit gets like so caught up, and it's just like, dude, regardless of where you fucking think you should be, this is where you are. Do not get lost in where you fucking think that somebody else thinks that you think that you should fucking be. That's so fucking far removed from actual fucking life that you're not living. You're stressing. So that kind of ties into your thing, like a roundabout way on this side tangent. You go to fucking Nika, right? On the second surf trip. The first one you try to like really figure out life. Second one you kind of like let go a little bit. And then now we're approaching 26. And what happened for you like when you came back?
Yeah, I mean, so I got back from Nika and then California, and I mean, I basically went into those with way less of sort of expectations for myself, and just my only expectations were like,
Was that conscious also?
yes.
Like
Yeah,
you, so
because-
like, did you notice it, Nika?
Yeah, no, I went into it with that mindset.
Yeah, okay. Did you like notice it on the previous trip that you were trying too hard?
I noticed that so what actually happened was I just got basically distracted by having a good time, just surfing and being with friends and enjoying it.
NPR?
But yeah, and then in the back of my mind, the whole time I was like, man, I was supposed to do this and I was supposed to do that. And I didn't have any sort of concrete things I was supposed to be doing, but I was like, I'll go and I'll figure it out. So when I was there, I was just like, kind of in the back of my mind the whole time, like kind of having a great time, but kind of stressing about it.
Dude,
And
yeah,
then-
yeah. So like not even really getting the full joy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had an incredible time, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh man, I gotta kind of
Yeah,
figure
dude.
this out, figure that out.
Like you wake up in the morning stressed.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go surf.
Yeah.
And it basically just kind of fell by the wayside. And then, so after that, sort of started figuring more stuff out, and then I needed a break again, and also just wanted to go score.
Yeah.
Wanted to surf good waves, and a
Mhm.
buddy was down there already getting barreled. I don't know if you met him, Richard.
And Nika?
Yeah, Rich. I don't know if you
No.
met him. Okay.
Where
Anyways.
where was he at?
I think he was living with John.
No. John was by. Was he staying in the same spot that you were before?
Yeah, he told me to go there.
Oh, okay. No, I just
But
met John. And he
Shout
was
out
like-
Rich. He's the homie.
Shouts out John.
He gets barreled a lot more than me.
Shouts out Rich. We
Yeah,
went back to
basically,
Nico.
like, I had this conscious decision of like, all right, I stopped lying to myself and saying, okay, I'm going here to figure out this and that. I was just like, I'm gonna go and just like appreciate life, enjoy being alive, take it for what it is, and like just breathe and like calm down. And I was sort of had a lot of anxiety and all of this going into it.
Mm-hmm.
The second trip, that is, and it was just like the best thing ever because I was just able to focus on the moment and like open up more to people and like like I don't know, that was kind of honestly that leading mentality kind of helped us meet sort of because I was sort of like going into it with like, all right, I'm gonna just be
Open. Right?
open.
Yeah.
And,
Just like listen to life.
Yeah, and it worked out. I met a lot of great people and came back from that sort of with this great appreciation for just like being alive and like living. I mean, like I, dealt with sort of just feeling down on myself and anxiety and all that stuff. A lot of stuff people deal with, and sort of wanted to just, like I said, just like fully sort of reset my brain towards like, all right, it's okay to enjoy the things you love.
Yeah, man. That's self-love, dude.
So-
People ask about that all the time. They're like, what's self-love? I think that's it, dude.
Yeah.
In like a non-woo-woo way, like just giving yourself permission to live, right?
Yeah, and it's not like, oh, going out and blacking out and partying, and like a lot of people get their sort of self-love treatment sort of from just like drowning themselves in a party.
I was just explaining that to them upstairs. There's like 3 20-year-olds upstairs, and I was like, dude, I'm just free and I just want to have. I'm like, dude, what you're doing right now is not self-love. You're escaping.
It feels good, and then
Kinda.
and then you start to realize as you do it a lot that it stays with you, and that sort of those drinking habits and that stuff. It's cool, make your memories and all that, but when it becomes a crutch and that becomes your sort of main source of entertainment, it's no good. I mean, I sort of like got into surfing. I learned how to surf young, from North Carolina, and we went every summer, and I did it a lot during the summers, once a year for a week, basically. And so I had the basics, but I always knew surfing was sort of like very important to me, and I loved it, but it wasn't like my life at all. And then I went to college, kind of totally forgot about that goal of like learning to surf more and whatever.
Yeah.
And just like, partying, whatever. And then I just had this big realization, like late junior year of college. I was like, I kind of came to Florida to like get back into surfing, like figure out how to surf and add it to my life. So I had this sort of big change of my world where I started surrounding myself with more surf people. This kid in my class, Sam, was always checking Surfline on his computer during class, and I just asked him one day, I was like, hey, like, let me slide with you.
Shout out Sam.
So he said, yeah, man, shout out Sam, at drinkrubery.com.
Oh, that's a homie.
Yeah, that's my
dude,
homie.
shout
So
out
he's
Rubru.
now like my best friend, and
Nice.
we
We'll
lived together
fucking,
for a couple years after that.
Put a link in the show
Jacksonville.
notes.
Yeah.
Get a discount code. You got one?
I got a discount code.
Yeah, we'll hook y'all up.
Alex Mate.
Yeah. There we go.
MATE. ALEXMATE.
We'll put it in the show notes.
So yeah, shout out Rubru. But yeah, Sam's a homie, and he sort of, I guess, opened the door to me meeting all the people in surf club, etc. And so like, yeah, I mean, I stopped partying by 200%. As like,
Is there something that like made you stop? Just want to dig.
just growing, sort of like
Nothing in particular.
I sort of got. I mean, nothing like.
Like a series of small particulars that build up, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some moments, and I mean, there was a big moment in college, my senior year. I had already been surfing a lot, but I lost a friend to suicide, so that was kind of like another defining moment in my life.
Dude, that's why I started Cope.
Yeah,
That's why I drove my shuttle bus from Washington to South Carolina. My
yeah.
fucking little bro, who I grew up surfing with, who was this like really naturally talented little ripper. Shouts out Jack. Love you, Jack. Fucking himself, dude. He went to fucking college, started partying a bunch, started taking Xans. Just fucking one day.
Yeah,
It's
fuck
wild.
Xanax.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, my friend Alex, also is his name. He love you, man. He himself as well. So
Shouts out
I don't
Alex.
want to put anyone on blast or anything, but
Dude.
Xanax is fucked up, and not it's such a bad. There's so many bad things about that sort of whole realm of pharmaceuticals and all that shit. But
That's what I'm trying to do. Dude, bro, that's exact. Thank you for having this conversation with me.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, like, this is why I'm trying to have these fucking conversations. The fact that both you and I can be like, yeah, the homie fucking himself and like got pulled into like a bunch of bullshit that like caused him to lose himself. Like, our generation is fucking struggling, and the fact that like you have surfing to not be struggling and to like find a way to deal with life, that's it, man. And like that easily could have been you on fucking Xans. It's not hard to get hooked on fucking benzos. It's really, really easy to become physiological dependent on fucking benzos. Like, it could have been me.
yeah,
I was close enough, dude. I've definitely done stupid shit that I shouldn't have been doing. Like, it's just wild. It's wild.
yeah. It's sort of so easy for society looking at it from the outside. You're like, oh well, I'm better than that or whatever. Like, it's so fucking easy for it to happen to anybody, and like, it's just we need to be more understanding as a society and help those people and listen to them and talk to them.
Just gotta get healthy, dude.
Yeah.
We have to have things that like fulfill us. Right, because if you have that fucking void, something's gonna fill it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was sort of in sort of feeling lost in college with like I had all this partying and I was still feeling just like empty. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't really have any hobbies. Like I grew up playing soccer. I didn't have that anymore. I missed the stimulation, the adrenaline, the workout, everything about soccer.
I was a soccer player too.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Damn, we're like hella similar.
That's crazy. I got fucking arrested and my scholarship opportunities got ripped away from me and I got kicked off when I was lined up to be fucking captain of the varsity team.
That's so good.
Same thing though.
Bummer.
It's just like you get this like giant fucking hole ripped open and you're like, fuck, like what do I fill it with?
Yeah. Yeah, and I filled that with partying, and then I was like, whoa, this is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Like that ain't it. And that's important too, I think, to like figure out what's not it.
Yeah.
To figure out like what is it.
And that's okay, yeah.
It's cool. It's just like you gotta pay attention because you're gonna run into some walls.
Yep.
Yeah.
You gotta stay in touch with yourself and sort of, I don't know, like I don't understand how some people just don't have like that outlet. Like I think that's one of the most important things in my sort of like, you know, in my personal life and my, like sort of how I deal with shit is like I need an outlet. Like I'm gonna go skate. I'm gonna go ride my Carver skateboard. I'm gonna go surf. I'm gonna go whatever it is. And like I swear, like whenever you're feeling down, just move your body. Like
yeah,
it's
dude, that's what I'm
crazy.
saying. I mean, that's like what became the thing for me. It was just like taking good care of myself and like realizing that I had these little tiny opportunities all the time to make myself feel better so that I could kind of like lessen that void. Like that void gets bigger if you're fucking insulin resistant and you feel like fucking shit and you sleep like shit and you're stressed the fuck out and you like have a bunch of fucking vices to like fill those fucking voids. You drink 5 nights a week. You're fucking way out of fucking shape. You can't run a fucking mile. You don't have any muscle. You don't know how to exercise. Like all these fucking things. You don't have a place to put all of the stress that's accumulating for all of that. So why wouldn't you go escape from all that? Like that shit gets heavy, dude. You know? But yeah, I mean, exercise, all that. It's super fucking important. Anyway, so continuing roughly along this like trajectory of your life, like coming back from Nika and then like going into like, you know, you had this early realization. You had this series of realizations that like it wasn't going to be fucking partying. And then you go to PR and you have these expectations. You're kind of like struggling with these expectations. You go to Nika. You decide to really, for me, it seems like this kind of like integration because it's like you're probably resisting the partying because you like kind of got over that and you got over like the fucking homie shit and you're like kind of trying to find your own way. And that's a really common thing too, is this overcorrection where it's like, I had so much fun. Now I can't have any fun. Right. And then I guess Nika was sort of the integration of that. And then like you come out of Nika and then like what's life looking like for you?
Yeah, I mean that's well put. I think that
My podcast.
yeah, so like it started with the disappointment at myself sort of not getting anything done. I was like, okay. So I worked over the summer and I busted ass and I, you know, reached that point where like, okay, I need to find that middle ground. I've worked hard and now I'm going to treat myself to a surf trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, I sort of just realized at that point that it was like, okay, you got to have balance and it's okay to, you know, treat yourself a little bit for the work. And
Have
then
fun.
I came
Eat
back
some
from
fucking
it
mushrooms,
sort
go
of
surf.
like,
Yeah.
and I came back from it with sort of like, okay, flush that out of my system, reset, get back to work. And then I, you know, busted ass for several months working and,
Right when you came back?
yeah, when I got back from California,
How long were you there?
I was there for a month in San Diego.
Did you go back for that big swell?
Yeah,
Were you
so
there for that big
I was
swell?
there for the biggest swell of
You were
the year.
already there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I
I
thought
went
you
there
had
before.
left. Oh, okay. I thought
Oh
you...
wait, no, that was a different time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry,
so
I got confused.
you went right after Nika and did the van thing.
Yeah,
right?
no,
and then
I
you went back to
missed it.
Jack's, right? And then I'm fucking lurking on your Instagram
No,
because
you're
you
good.
fucking went out there. I was like,
Yeah,
biggest
dude.
swell ever. To
So,
fucking in
so
like
the
what, 15
homie,
years.
yeah, the homie Sam was out there, and he lives out there now, and
Same Sam? Rubro?
Same Sam.
Shouts out Rubro.
So yeah, so what was it, September? So I was there, and it was just like summer fun, swell, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a wedding in October, so I went back to the East Coast, and then did a bunch of hurricane work in South Florida.
Yeah, who was that, Fiona?
whatever the one was that hit like Sanibel.
Yeah, it was fucked up. I had
It was-
some homies. I grew up in Florida like half my life, whatever. So I had a bunch of homies down there get like fucking flooded.
Yeah, it was torched, and I was there for like
Yeah.
3 weeks, just like sleeping on an extra bed and working, and it was pretty wild. Crazy destruction. Anyways, so after that, yeah, so then I made it back to Cali. I flew out in January, and there was like a big swell coming,
Okay.
and I saw it.
Not a big swell, ladies and gentlemen. Like potentially the biggest swell to hit in like 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Like crazy, crazy, crazy. Look up, fucking Southern California, 2022.
2023.
2023, beginning of 2023. Insane.
It was pretty nuts. I mean, I showed up and it had been pumping for like 5 days already, so everyone was really surfed out, and it just kept pulsing.
That was the crazy thing about it, is that it just kept.
It kept
fucking
going. So it was like 2 weeks straight of like huge swell, and kind of on and off. It would dip a little bit, but and I surfed the biggest day in California. In like, people were like saying it was the best day at Swami's.
Was that like, that was late January? Was that
Yeah,
like
it was-
22nd ish or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was track. I was
Yeah.
just fucking like sitting
Late-
on the
late
computer, like
January.
fucking jerking off, watching Jesus. It was
Dude,
insane.
it was nuts, and yeah, I went out to PB Point,
Mhm.
which is like a longboard wave, and this was the day. It was like 24-second period.
Mhm.
It was the biggest waves I've ever surfed in my life. I was on a 6'1", and I should have been on at least a 7-foot board.
I think I remember you like posting.
And
about
I
that.
was skipping down the face, like would hit a bump, and like it's a huge rolling wave, and like go for like a quarter mile, but man, I fell on the face and would just skip down it. Like, you know how you see big wave surfers just skip down the face, like
Yeah, like falling off a jet ski.
literally just like skip and tumble and cartwheel and then just like fall. And then once you're under, like it was kind of a softer wave, so it wasn't like crazy heavy.
Okay.
So it wasn't like
You
I was
weren't
like
like dying.
I wasn't fearing for my life, but
That's
I was
cool.
just like, it had all the size
Yeah.
and length, but it
Because
wasn't
it's
like
like
barely.
point wave too, right? So it's a little bit softer.
Yeah. But anyways, that was just like the sickest swell, and it was just 2 weeks, and yeah, caught some good waves.
Yeah. So what happened after that? You come back to Jack's.
Went back to Jack's. I'm trying to even think. I've just been in Jack's, working odd jobs basically.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what's like life looking like for you? Like, so are you like still? I mean, for me, like these like, it's easy enough to like have this epiphany moment where you're like, okay, I'm gonna like love myself or whatever. I'm gonna allow myself to enjoy life. I'm gonna go to Costa Rica. I'm gonna chill. That's how it was for me too. Like in those moments of being like everything's fine, and then you go back home and I don't know, it kind of creeps back in a little bit. So was that
Totally.
happening for you at all?
Yeah, I mean, life definitely feels like way more sort of like, okay, I got to figure out what I'm doing.
Parents, right? Like
What?
being around them. Was that it for you? Or your parents aren't there. Your
No,
parents
my
are
parents.
here.
Yeah, my parents live in North Carolina.
Oh, what did it for you? Was it just like college, like old friends? Like, was there any like kind of?
Well, I went back to home for Christmas,
Okay.
and not my parents are like pretty, they're strict but also easygoing at the same time. So it's like they're kind of supportive of me just like figuring my shit out.
That's
And
cool.
then on
Shouts
my
out parents.
grandparents' side, they're kind of like, they ask me all the time, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, is that like kind of a trigger for them?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's totally a trigger. And like, they're not gonna hear this, but like on my birthday, I got a card from them. And I love them dearly, but I got a card from them, and it was like, happy birthday. Keep us informed on like
What are you doing?
what. Yeah, just keep us informed on your latest decisions or something.
Yeah, dude, it's
And
weird.
it's just like this,
It's
like,
weird.
okay, like all this pressure to sort of figure my shit out, and I've got lots of things sort of going on, a couple side gigs, and I'm working with Rubru, and that's been great, and I'd like to stick with that further, and I think that if the company really takes off, then that's an avenue I'll definitely head down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've just been sort of considering a lot of options, working a bunch of random little gigs, just trying to sort of see what I like. And
Can I say too, dude? Like, this is like, I don't know, like the weird moment that only like podcasting can like kind of like bring to surface. But like, you just doing odd jobs has like actually given me a lot of freedom because I like, I watch your Instagram and shit, I watch your stories and like I don't know. It's weird. You meet a dude that you like kind of like respect or whatever and like dudes have this like kind of like weird thing where we're always like kind of comparing ourselves to other dudes or whatever and just like the fact that like you're also the same age as me and you're just like allowing yourself to figure shit out. I'm so fucking tough on myself, especially because like I am creating my own fucking like being in charge of like a business or whatever and like living off of health coaching. Like I put this crazy pressure on myself that I like need to be. I was in this position for a few months right before I left Costa Rica and that's or right before I left for Costa Rica and that's like my own fuck up, but like I was like I'm making a fuck ton of money. I can go to Costa Rica and like do whatever. I was in a position to be making six figures and I was like, wow, just keep this going. Like I did it. I made it. And then I should have reinvested all that money. But I like took this huge break from social media, all this fucking shit, and I like kind of fucked up. So I don't know. There's this like weird thing where like I kind of like beat the shit out of myself, and like I don't know. I'm just like realizing as you're like saying all this shit, I actually subconsciously kind of like took a lot of like refuge in just like seeing you also just figuring it out because it kind of gave me permission to be like, fucking relax, dude. Like it's okay to like kind of like reminds you of that version of yourself too. I think that like this conversation like kind of does that too.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. And like I appreciate you saying that. I mean, like I could say the same thing, vice versa too. Just like I feel like every person I meet that I gain a little bit of like, at least in the surf world, like a little bit of perspective on like, okay, that's what this person's doing. Like
Just trying to
maybe I'm not like
surf.
totally, yeah, maybe I'm not like totally fucking up, you know? And
Yeah, dude.
it's not like anyone else is fucking up either. It's like
That's why I wanted to have
they're
this
happy as
conversation,
shit and
dude.
like they're
Like life's good.
Yeah.
Like we're chilling.
like there is time to work, there is time to grind. You know, there are
Yeah.
those moments where you really need to put your, put your head down
Yeah.
and do it. But like, it's not a beat yourself up situation to
It's not
enjoy
everything.
your life.
That's not. It doesn't need to be everything.
Totally,
It doesn't need to be like. It's not like what you do does not define who you are, right?
totally. And yeah, I mean, like, I guess going back to what I was like, sort of prefacing myself, like I was working at this big company. I won't name anything, but construction management. And I was doing really well and worked there for several years. And they sent me across the country to Idaho,
Cold.
and it was during the summer, so it was fucking hot.
Hot.
It's like the hottest summer
It gets
ever.
crazy hot and crazy cold in Idaho.
Pretty psycho. It's pretty dramatic difference. Like it would be like 50 at
Night and
night,
day,
like
right? Yeah.
chilly at night, like 50, and 105 during the day.
This bitch is dry, dude. The whole like middle of the country ish.
But yeah, so I lived in a hotel for 4 months,
Woo!
and
Jesus, dude.
yeah, so I became like a Hilton super mega diamond platinum member, whatever, because all my shit was comp. So I'm still, dude. I have probably like 15 nights worth of points
That's sick.
for
Keep
any
that in the
any
back pocket.
Oh my god,
dude.
I've used it like twice now, at random times. But you can get, I'll just get the cheapest ones, and just, dude,
Milk it, dude.
I can get like a super fucking nice one for like 3 nights in New York and burn all my points.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was still working a job, and then there were aspects that I liked of it, and there was good money, and I was set up basically. At that point, I wasn't, but I was set up to, if I kept going, make over six figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just getting really depressed, and like the hotel alone life was just really like
Eating shit food. Eating
hard.
out
And I
every
was
night.
25 or 20. Oh my god, I was 24. Yeah, I was 24.
Okay.
I was 24 years old, and I was just like alone. And I was like, I'm 24, and I was trying to make friends, and it was a small town. It was really
Were you with
hard.
your girl at the time?
No,
Okay.
no. And I basically was just like totally alone, and I was like, dude, this kind of sucks. And I put my head down. I got through the whole summer, and I did it.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, look, I'm not moving here. And
Yeah.
I get back to Florida, and then like first day in the office, the vice president of the company is like, hey, Alex, like, welcome back. You ready to move to South
You
Carolina?
ready to be our worker bee? Yeah.
Yeah, you ready to move to South Carolina to the middle of nowhere?
Like fucking Buford.
And literally the next day, I gave my 2 weeks. I was like, dude, like, I need to just get out of here.
Respect. That's where it's at, though. Honestly.
And yeah, that's when I texted that day. I was like, hey, I'm leaving. Let's plan this Puerto Rico thing. Because we talked about it a little bit. And that got the ball rolling. And I got, my friend Sam was actually working with me, and he actually did sort of the same thing like several months earlier.
Sam?
Yeah, so he quit like probably 6 months before me,
Mm.
and then went to El Salvador while I was in Idaho,
Okay.
etc.
Sam, we got to get you on the pod. I want to hear the Rubro
Yeah.
story.
Dude, Sam's the homie. He's got some good stuff to say. But so he was kind of the, I guess, a catalyst to say like, okay, this is not, because in my head, I mean, I'm like fresh out of college. I've got this under my belt. Everyone around me at work's like, do this, do that. You know, like here's how you'll be me. Here's how you'll be successful. And I'm looking around like, I don't really want to be you. Like I don't.
Yeah.
So.
And Sam was kind of like that similar
Sam-
validation of like
yeah,
a
Sam was
homie
like-
who's like, nah.
He's like, no, like this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna go do it. And just mind blowing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Sam's a good dude. Shouts out Sam. That's cool. So now, just living life.
Just living.
Just living life.
Yeah, hopefully I'll. I'm eyeing San Diego.
I know you are.
I'm
I
eyeing.
know.
Yeah,
I was messaging you when you were out there. I was like, how's it looking, dude?
it's so sick, dude.
I'm always thinking about the West Coast, man. But
So
like,
sick.
San Diego is the only place I kind of consider, but everywhere else is on fire.
It's really sick, but there's also so many pitfalls and caveats, and like
So many people.
so many people.
So many people, dude.
The surfing, like, it's almost like the worse the surf is, the more fun you're gonna have because there's less people.
Yeah, dude. I've like kind of fallen in love with North Carolina.
It's great.
It's literally
Shout
become
out North Carolina.
Shouts out North Carolina, dude. It's become my fucking like proxy for the West Coast because there's mountains and there's surf, and it's like kind of weird, but like for me, it's like I got the fucking Purvey to like tat it on the fucking ribs, but like
Yeah, hell yeah.
for me, it's North Carolina and fucking Costa Rica. I think
Dude, the best places ever.
I really think so, man. I don't know, but
And there, you don't have. I mean, you still have the sort of normal life in North Carolina. You have so much beautiful space, and like when I was here, I just had this thought like in my head. I'm like, if this was California, there would be so many people here. Just like,
in the lineup,
I mean, okay, you have Catalina. Not that I've ever been, but the Catalina wine mixer, Catalina Island, right?
Catalina wine mixer.
Catalina. It's not obviously the Outer Banks, but like out there off the coast,
Yeah.
kind of remote, I mean, very remote, but like
Yeah.
beautiful raw piece of earth, and then they just put like country club city
Yeah,
vibe,
dude, it's weird.
and you know, it's just like coming here is like I'm just like so grateful to just like the quiet and the
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
and it's not, you know,
you can camp in your car here, like that shit.
yep.
Yeah,
And like it's the weirdest thing because like growing up in Durham, my biggest thing since as long as I can remember was like I want to be a surfer.
mm-hmm.
As long as I can remember, I was like I want to be coastal living. I want that because we went to the beach every summer, but it was like torture leaving. I'm like I'm landlocked.
If you get that itch, dude. Like,
Yeah, and I was like I know I need like ever since I was as young as I could be, I was like I need to be in the water. I need to be somewhere coastal, and that's why I ended up in Florida. But I also lost a big appreciation for like the mountains and like I was like, this is dumb. I want to be at the beach. And
Yeah.
now, like,
Yeah.
I'm growing up, I go back to Asheville or wherever.
Yeah. Shouts out Black Mountain.
Yeah, Black Mountain,
Yeah.
Swananoa, Asheville, Boone,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Boone's good too.
good places.
Good lucky vibe.
But like, I have so much more appreciation for that, having left and then coming back to
Buddy.
it.
Appreciate you. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's interesting. So, no agenda. Kind of feeling it out.
I've got sorry, it's so hard for me to stay on track.
You're good. You're good.
Combo.
You're good. Fucking Zach keeps coming in here giving us treats.
I know. Dude, my brain is.
I'm the same way, dude. I'm the same.
So I'm diagnosed ADD.
Me too.
As long as I
I'm
can-
diagnosed with a bunch of shit, but fuck all that.
Yeah, I'm scatterbrained. But anyways, so life planned in general is I'd like to work either for a small company, for a startup. If things go good with Brew Brew, I'd love to really let that, work with that and
Yeah.
blow it up and go far with that. But I just think the corporate big company grind is a whole different beast. And I actually would maybe consider going back into construction for a smaller company
Mm-hmm.
and people I like. But man, it's like
Come flip houses with me and my parents. That's what they do. We'll talk
Really?
about that later. Yeah.
sick.
Like, I can't do the big construction companies either. I like small teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up like in high school. I worked as a grunt,
Yeah.
doing fix and flips.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like demoing drywall and shit. But
Yeah, when you're young, it's just demo.
Yeah.
Demo and fucking throw in the dump.
yeah,
Yeah.
funny story, sort of sidetrack. I had my first dip at
Oh yeah, dude.
at one of those construction
Fat
sites,
chaw.
and dude, my whole world flipped upside down. I had to go sit in the. I was embarrassed. There was nowhere to hide because there was like a couple people there,
And everything's spinning.
and I was just like, I gotta sit. So I went to the porta potty for like 15 minutes, and just sat there, and I was just like
Yeah.
reeling. But that's one of those core memories.
Yeah, I have one too. Just laying in the back of my buddy's truck. I'm like, never again. Never again. Yeah.
Probably didn't help sitting in the porta potty, but
Yeah.
at least I was alone.
Yeah. Fair enough. But cool, man. It just sounds like you're kind of like living life and you're in that integration period of just like kind of finding your way. And I'm just stoked to hear, like, as your homie, like, dude who's like, you know, I hardly fucking know you, but got like big love for you. It's just cool to know that you're just allowing yourself to figure shit out and like live life and cope, man, in the ways that, you know, feel right to you, and you're just doing things that you love. The fact that you're willing to fucking drive to the Outer Banks just to fucking surf. Like, I have homies in South Carolina, fucking Chase, who wouldn't even drive up from, you know, it's half the fucking distance or whatever. But it's just cool to know that you're out here doing it and just getting after the things that you love. And yeah, man, it's just fucking cool. And I think that a lot of people listening to this too, whoever the fuck listens to it, will probably kind of vibe on the same. And I hope that whoever the fuck is listening to it kind of maybe gives you some of that permission that Alex and I kind of get from each other too, to just like live, dude.
Permission is a good word. And like, let me just add real quick that I do see myself being successful. I do see myself
100%.
living coastally. I write these things down, and I have goals that are where I see myself.
Yeah,
and
same.
Nothing crazy, but I have sort of a respectable vision of where I want to be.
Yeah.
But the ability to take a breath and say, okay, I'm not putting that off, but I'm allowing something else good to come in.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And then work on that stuff on the side, but don't cut off any good time and all of that. You know, don't block out all the good stuff that would be good for you just because it's fun and not directly related to your career. Like,
yeah, and I think that I would say that if so let's say that's like your North Star, right? If your North Star is true, the things that come up for you are in service of that. We don't know the path to get there. We can discern what we want life to feel like and like kind of look like. I don't really know, but we kind of know like our values, right? So that's all we can really establish is like what really means the most to me. And then you focus on what matters, and then you allow life to bring you whatever. And if you're not fighting shit, it works out. Like, it really fucking does. Just like you coming out here and like having a good time on the waves. If you came with this like predetermined expectation and you don't meet that expectation, you're going to be suffering, dude. Like, there's this I interviewed this guy, Garrett Kramer. Shouts out Garrett Kramer. He's this author and he's this sports psychologist, and he like worked with like a bunch of like NHL teams. He's like really fucking big. He's an author and all the shit. But the one thing that he told me that just like fucked my shit up, and he's like an older dude too. And he like, I don't know, I probably need to like get mentored by him. He's great. He kind of like took me under his wing for a minute, but told me that seeking is the root of suffering. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Because I'm a young man and I have my goals. I have that vision. It's like, what do you mean in like relation to goals? Like, don't I have goals? And he's like, what's meant for you will be yours. Your job is not to seek it, because if you're seeking it, you're putting out there that you don't have it. So therefore you're walking fundamentally from a standpoint of scarcity. So you're putting scarcity out. So what you have to do is position yourself to receive. That's it.
When the opportunity comes walking by, you are in the position to grab, like, to get it.
I took his words and I like wrote about it. It still fucks me up all the time, but I wrote about it. And what it was for me is, let life come to you, but meet it on the path. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I kind of write that one down.
Yeah. That one fucked me up.
What about luck is when preparation meets opportunity?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's that shit.
So I went to college. I'm prepared, but I'm chilling.
Yeah. And you meet Sam.
And I met Sam.
All this stuff.
Exactly.
Through that, you met me.
Yeah. Everything that's going to happen is just sort of almost meant to be. Like, it's just so many things in my life have happened just through surfing, and like all just from one chain of events of one conversation. It's
Yeah.
so wild.
It's weird how it happens, right? It's
Yep.
weird, but it's
Like
fucking.
we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So.
100%, dude. So just to like, this is a kind of question that I either want to open with or close with. I'm not really sure how I'm going to structure this podcast yet, but I just want to ask you, man, like, what does coping with life mean to you? And to me, coping with life is just like, cope is defined as the ability to deal with something difficult. And to me, like, life is fundamentally difficult. It doesn't have to be suffering, but it often is difficult. So like, we got surfing and stuff, but just like, I don't know, just like in your words, like, how do you cope with life?
It's a tough question. I would say that the first step of coping with life is acknowledging that, it's not ignorance, but acknowledging that something has happened, I guess, and allowing yourself or myself to step back from everything and sort of just like do something that I know is going to make me feel better in an unselfish way, I guess. So like
what?
For example, on the day that I found out that my friend had taken his life,
What's his name?
Alex.
Shouts out Alex.
Miss you, buddy. He or I mean, after a long night of horrible night, but the next day I basically felt like shit and went and just like hit up some friends. I was like, hey, I need to like get out, and I just went skateboarding. And actually, I was inspired by that because I knew that he had grown up skateboarding, and I was kind of like, I'd never really like been into skateboarding, so I was like, I'm just gonna go do this. I think I borrowed like a friend's, one of the guys I went with, like I borrowed their board, and I sucked. I couldn't even do a kick turn or anything. But that was my like, I was hurting, but I was doing something outside and with other people, and like they knew I was hurting too, and it was sort of like, I think that just moving your body and like being okay with like doing something that's enjoyable, even if you're sort of like suffering, is better than just like laying down on the couch and just like moping around. And it's okay to have those moments where you break down, like that's natural and that does happen, especially right off the bat. But like, I think I cope with life by, same thing with surfing. Like if something difficult happens, I think like I'll take a moment and just step back and go surfing or go skate or whatever.
It's like getting out there,
yeah, just doing it, even if I feel like shit, even if I'm down, and having the, I don't know if it's discipline or whatever, but like to allow yourself to allow yourself to do something that you enjoy is okay, even when you're hurting. You don't need to feel like I guess bad about it. So I guess that would be a way of coping. I guess you could say like there's so many bumpy things in life, and like I guess there's a lot of things to cope with. So I don't know exactly how to answer the rest of the question, but like,
nah, you fucking nailed it, dude. What do you mean? Don't circle back. You just fucking killed it, dude. Yeah, that was it, man. Shit, dude. Alex, I love you, man. Appreciate you.
Love you, dog.
So glad I met you, man. Thanks for doing this fucking podcast with me. You're like legit, like perfect dude to like run this thing and open this fucking thing with, and I really hope that we can, I'm really not building cope for me. This is something that I'm trying to build for all of us, and build for the other Alex, and build for fucking Jack, and build for Sam, and build for all of us, man. So I really hope that, you'll do this thing with me, and we can all just do this thing together and kind of come together in the ways that our generation needs to, man.
Absolutely. It's important stuff, and I love what you're doing, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
It's been a blast.